Andrew with Trust Your Talent. Today we're talking about networking and the power of your networking. I mean, it is everything. I mean, I would say when I look back and before we had this conversation of, the topic and the key points, I was thinking back and I was like, what's the power of networking? And I was like, almost every opportunity that I've been able to engage in has been some kind of extension of some kind of networking or some type of relationship that was created through a conversation. And there's just so much benefit there, and I'm so excited to be able to unravel that with you today.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I always say it's not a me business, it's a we business, and that doesn't have to be exclusive to real estate. It could be to really any business or any way of life. I mean, it's not a fun time just going through life alone. Less things happen. You hear about less things. So when you have a network that you can leverage and discuss with and bounce things off of and grow with, that's really where things start to shift to another level and a whole other way of living.
Intentional networking. And there's just so much value that we got from it. And some of the relationships that we were able to connect through that intentional networking are still powerful relationships, JV partners, friendships, professional partners, support, accountability partners. There's just so much value that was able to come from it. What are some of the key things when it comes to networking that comes to your mind when it comes to value, Andrew?
Yeah, I think one of the things here is that when we go to these networking events or these conferences like yours, we sometimes lack the vision as to why we're going there. So with Trust Your Talent, when we're talking to new students, we talk about the why as the very foundation of what we're doing this for. So when it comes to networking events, I really believe that if you go there with a why in mind, with your why in mind, you can then build on that. So really, yeah, we're going to a networking event. Why? A conference. Why? Is it just to learn networking, or is it because we want that to be a step to better our lives? So really, your why is in mind, where why do you want to invest? Why are you looking to grow your real estate portfolio? Is it just for money? Probably not. That's not really what all this is about. So if you have your why and you really get that crystal clear, maybe it's your family, maybe it's your freedom, maybe you want to travel and that's why you want to invest and leverage real estate, that can be the foundation of your mindset to go in there so that you can have conversations with that right energy and with that right intent, so to speak, when you are talking to people, because you have a crystal clear vision as to why you're doing everything in the first place. So I'd say the why as the number one step going to an event to figure out, okay, what is my purpose of this?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, you bring up a really good point, and how we've always started, the real estate investor conference is going into it with intention and not just going into it with just, kind of floating through, because there's so much value, and we're not just saying it. I mean, I wouldn't, it's so easy to overbook a weekend conference. It's way too easy. I would never change the networking out for anything else.
Mm.
The networking portion that we're putting in, the intentional networking portion of it, I would never change out for any speaker. There's not a single speaker out there that I would replace networking with, because of the amount of benefit and impact it makes in each person. Like, it doesn't matter where you're at, like, let's think about, your goal. Maybe you're like, I'm not sure what my goals are. Maybe I want to go to Recon to be able to understand what my goals are. I want to hear what other people's goals are. You can go there and even just come up with your problems right on a page, right? Have a notebook. I always recommend bring a notebook to these events, right? And beforehand, go sit down in a coffee shop and write down, what are your three biggest problems? And how can this event solve them? Is it meeting somebody? Is it getting advice? Is it maybe you're going to meet somebody that's gone through the same journey years prior that you're about to go to? And if they can help you navigate that space, not only it's going to save you time, probably energy, and probably money, right? And it's just so powerful. And we were talking about it as well. Like, say that you have money to invest in real estate. Say you have $100,000 and you're like, Calvin, my goal is to get to $5,000 in cash flow, because that's going to allow me to eventually step away from my job or not feel like I have to work a 9 to 5 because I'm missing soccer practice of my kids. I'm not able to do the things I want. I don't have the flexibility. And I need this. I need this for my own sanity. And that's how a lot of people feel. And in retirement, a lot of people aren't set up successfully for retirement. And honestly, real estate is one of my favorite vehicles to help with that, right? And so you have this $100,000, you buy a property, you put 20% down on a single family detached, that 100,000's gone, right? Think in the future, like, if you want to achieve $5,000, even though you haven't bought that first property yet, you have that $100,000, eventually you're probably going to want to start working with other people that have the capital but don't have the time, right? So you might meet a contact that may not be the perfect fit for you tomorrow, but what about 10 kilometers down the road in your journey? You might find somebody that is an absolute essential piece to that puzzle. And the cool thing is that puzzle is whatever you want it to look like. That puzzle is 1,000 pieces, 10,000 pieces, however big of a vision you have. All the pieces are jumbled down and you're putting them all together. And I can tell you, the glue between those pieces are the relationships. And when you go to events like this, it allows you the opportunity to put those pieces together. And then all of a sudden, that vision is that much stronger, right? There's strength behind the vision, right? And you'll start to create this momentum, and it'll be very hard to stop you. But that's really where it starts.
Absolutely. I mean, the people are crucial. I know that for me, in my journey, I wouldn't be here without the people that I've met and those connections I've made, and following people who I vision they have what I'm looking for. And I think that's the thing here when you go to a networking event and maybe, like you said, there's a beginner who doesn't know anything about where they want to go to the coffee shop, make some notes, and then going there with that goal of, okay, if I'm just starting and my goal is 5,000 a month, for instance, what can I do to reach it? Or who can I speak to, or who can I look to meet who can help me with that? Is it getting educated more from a way to invest your own money? Knowing different strategies, understanding how to set a goal in real estate and go to it, and not necessarily just buying a property. And without talking to people and networking, you may limit yourself as to your full potential because you may think there's only one way to do it when there's a ton of ways to do it. You just have to be speaking to the right people that know those different options for you in the real estate world.
And let's break it down. I mean, let's go granular here. Okay, so let's say that your main goal is education. Maybe you're like in a position right now and you're like, I just don't know a lot about, investing in multifamily. So that's one of your goals. Your goals could be whatever you'd like. Maybe you're like, I've always wanted to invest in multifamily, but I just don't know where to start. I don't know where to find the deals. I don't know how to analyze the properties. I don't know what a good building or a good cap rate looks like. I don't know any of this stuff, right? You can go in as a new investor and you can be completely honest and just say, hey, I want to learn more about, hey, I could meet you. I could come up and shake your hand, and this is simply how it would go. Hi, how are you? I'm Calvin.
I'm Andrew. Nice to meet you.
Andrew, so nice to meet you. This is actually my first conference I've ever gone to. I've never done anything like this before.
That's awesome. Well, good for you for being here. What are you hoping to get out of it?
Yeah, you know what? I'm not entirely sure. I do know that I've had some people and some Facebook friends that have invested in multifamily, and eventually, I think I want to get in that direction. So I think what I'm looking for is to be able to better understand how to invest in multifamily and maybe better understanding of like my first initial steps of how to do it.
So I'll switch out of the role play mode for a second and I'll put on my coach hat because this is exactly where when I speak to people who are looking to get into investing, I now ask them why they want to invest. Kind of like I was saying about why they're going to the event in the first place, because some people say they want to invest in multifamily and it's just because it's a buzzword. They don't actually know why they want to invest in multifamily. Maybe someone they know did and they've been successful. So really it becomes down to the person. So if we switch back into role play, okay, so you want to invest in multifamily, that's amazing. That's a great step. What are your goals with investing? And that's where we can dig deeper and dig granular. So if I was to say to you, Calvin, or new investor at the conference, what are your goals in investing? Taking multifamily off the table, what do you look to achieve with those?
Well, my current job is not giving me the financial support to live the lifestyle that I want to achieve. And it's honestly affecting my self-esteem. It's affecting my self-worth. And I'm worried that when it does come to retirement, I'm not going to be in a position where I can actually enjoy my life. I feel like I might be in a position where I might have to work until I'm 70. I'm not going to be able to, I'm going to see my friends on the beach, going to Florida, going to, traveling and enjoying their lives. And I feel like the trajectory of my life isn't on that path. And I'm looking to find that path.
And that's amazing. So this again, I'll switch out of the role play just for a second because I love this aspect of what I do as a coach and through networking even. It's being curious. It's really understanding the person and what makes them tick. So this avatar you've put together, someone that kind of wants more. They don't want to work their whole life to then retire. They're not really fulfilled right now. It's great that someone actually knows that and can communicate that. There's a lot of people that may not even take the step to go to a conference like this because they are just intimidated or they don't even believe there's another way. So first of all, that's a great step for anyone watching this that's thinking about going, that wants to invest in real estate and they have no idea what they're doing yet. Great, because this is a great way to learn about it. Come speak to the right people. And then if I go back to kind of diving deeper into this person, I would want to understand more. And that's where being curious, I can offer perspective to them to help them as long as they're clear. And I think what you said earlier, the idea of being authentic is huge in networking. And so whether you know nothing or whether you're at a different level, just being yourself. And even if maybe you are at a different level, ego aside, leave it at the door and just go in there ready to meet new people. So in the case of someone getting started, obviously their ego may not be quite there yet because if anything, they'll be intimidated. And knowing that within the real estate community, a lot of people just want to help. I
Mhm.
mean, you do this conference because it helps so many people. And yes, we're growing our businesses together. And at the same time, it's fun and rewarding to help people. So if you are new and you are thinking about it, people like us with experience
Mhm.
want to give and provide you with different tools and perspectives so that you can grow and hit your goals.
Yeah. And it's interesting enough, like when I started investing back in 2013, and then I never really dived into any of the resources that were available to me, like reading books, going to meetups, conferences. I never went to any of it. I didn't have a coach, and I just learned by doing. And I think I made probably I know I made some pretty expensive mistakes
Mm.
and things happened a little bit slower, but I think everybody has their journey as well. And when I first went to my first conference, it almost seemed strange on how welcoming other investors were
Yeah.
to like have the conversation. I was like, what do they want from me? Like, are they trying to take something from me? Like, are they trying to get close to my wallet so they can like tap my Apple Pay and then you know what I mean? Like, why? Like, what? It just seems so strange. And really, what it came down to, and it took me a couple years to kind of get comfortable with the environment. It's like a lot of people when it comes to real estate investing has started out not with any type of like everybody starts somewhere and somebody has helped them along the way. And I think there's been this like family kind of feeling, this rule of reciprocity where it's like, at one point somebody helped you out, Andrew, and gave you a hand. And now you want to be able to offer that back. And that's a big part of the fulfillment is like once you achieve a certain level from an investment side of things and success is like you generally want to see other people succeed. Maybe their partners down the road. I mean, but it's these contacts are just so valuable, right? So I think it's important to have these questions. And I think to even break it down, when you're having conversations, be authentic, right?
Hmm.
Be curious and ask questions and then get their contact information and then follow up, right? And I want to dive into that a little bit more too. Um, when you're talking to these people, it could be, I want to go for coffee with you, Andrew. I'd like to learn more about multifamily. Maybe, a conference like this, we take all of the, top coaching organizations across Canada, truly the best across Canada. We put them under the same roof. Tell me how many other opportunities that we have that happening anywhere. It just doesn't happen. You know what I mean? Like savvy investors do their thing, trust your talent does their thing, wealth genius does their thing, rain does their thing, RAI masters does their thing. But now we're in a position where you can really understand the different tribes and also most importantly understand where you best belong. because every coaching organization is a little bit different. Do I believe you should get a coach? 100%. It is way cheaper to get a coach than to do what I did because I made some extremely expensive mistakes, right? So you're going to have the opportunity to do that. But it's not just for like JV partners and education. It's like, what about professional partners? You ever had a handyman that went AWOL, that just won't answer your calls anymore, or a plumber that just stopped showing up? That shit happens all the time. When you come to an event like this, you're going to see who I use personally. You're going to see who a lot of the investors use personally because there are professional partners. And that's part of the networking. It's not just with the participants, but we're going to show you and teach you during our exercise that we're going to be doing on how to even talk to other professional partners, vendors that are there, to be able to give you the most back in your experience at an event and a conference like this.
Absolutely. And I mean, even with when you're maybe a newbie, we'll call it, and you're speaking to someone who's established, maybe you do meet a plumber at the conference and you have no need at this current time for a plumber. However, I mean, it's always good to know someone in the trades. So there's that ability to network and to grow. And also, when you're having these conversations, if you are curious and you want to meet people and understand their journey, I'm sure they're not just a plumber. I'm sure they have a whole story and they have a whole reason that they're at an investing conference to begin with, and seeing what you may have in your toolbox already that you can offer them. So it's going to a conference not just looking to take, it's more so looking to give. What value do you have that you can bring to the table? Because maybe they say, yeah, I'm looking for a website developer. And then earlier that day, you just met someone that does websites. And all of a sudden you have the website contact, you have the plumber contact, and you say, hey, you know what? Let me hook you guys up. Well, you might have just put together a pretty cool connection, and that means you did bring something to the table. You do have value. So there's always an opportunity. And maybe at some point that website developer helps you out with something you're looking for, plumber vice versa. So that's what's beautiful about the web of networking, where you can go in there, be curious, meet lots of people, obviously have your own goals, and then also be ready to give as well, because you do have something to give, especially when you take the initiative to come to an event like this.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I love that you struck, like, one common thing is like in every conversation or every interaction, if you can just ask yourself, is there an opportunity that I can be helpful or provide value to somebody else? Now go into a room of 400 people that are trying to do that. You will literally accelerate yourself, your business, your opportunities tenfold by the course of spending 1 day or 2 days at an event like this. And you could see more progress in those 2 days than you could in 6 months or even a year. And I mean, some of the contacts that I've had, I can't even put a price tag on these contacts because they've provided me so many more opportunities and other contacts and relationships. It's unbelievable, right? And this year our theme is deals. We're going to be doing a deal tank, which I'm really excited about. We're going to have some of the top investors analyze live deals in front of the audience. The audience is going to have an opportunity to engage in the process, ask questions, vote. But I invest in this deal, and you'll actually be able to. If you like the deal, you can actually buy that deal. And so not only are we going to be showing you how to analyze the deals, but we're going to be showing you a lot more deals that are only and exclusively available at the event. And in these breakout rooms where it's like residential, commercial, development, JV partnerships, we're going to have deals available in those rooms specific towards that topic that's going to allow you to engage in these things as well. So we're going to have a lot of wholesalers there that are going to be providing this. Gustavo with Trust Your Talent, he's going to be there. He's going to be on stage speaking about wholesaling and interviewing the panel. It's going to be absolutely explosive. And you know what? I'm really excited for the networking side of thing because there's just this, it always comes down to these contacts. And let's go through some tips. Let's go through some basic tips. And I don't want to give them all everything today because there's so much more that we're going to impact at the event. But you know what? If you're going to be meeting these contacts, you want to put them in your phone and you want to have something about them. You know what? I've been going to conferences for a long time. One of the things that I do is I'll take their contact information down. I'll also put something interesting about them. So I'd find out whether Andrew has a cat, dog, kids, how long he's been investing for, what does he do as a job? Is it full-time investing? Where does he live? And I'll put that in his contact card. And then I always love to take a selfie. I know this is really, you can see this as weird, but I would literally just come back and then you and I would do a selfie. And then I would always remember you. I would always remember you. And if you don't want to do the selfie, that's completely fine. But you want to take a screenshot of that contact, because once that contact's in, you're probably going to lose them amongst your other 3,000 contacts. Take a screenshot. And then at the end of the conference, you're going to have, 10, 20, 30 photos. And then you can go back and even just say, even if there's not anywhere that you can go with that relationship right now, I think it's always nice to say, Andrew, it was so nice meeting you at Recon. Hopefully we cross paths again. And if you're ever in the area, I'd love to grab a coffee. It could be something as simple as that, right? And Andrew might have a contact that might be valuable to you in the future, right? And so I think it's just very, very simple. And if you can put these contacts in a CRM to keep you more organized, and then you can also hashtag them, like hashtag plumber, electrician, potential JV partner, multifamily investor, wholesaler, um, Andrew, real estate coach with Trust Your Talent. And then say in a year from now, you're like, you know what? I need this person. And then you
Mm.
just went to a couple events and you're like, okay, I'm going to go through my CRM. I forgot everybody I met from a year ago. You go and you're like, oh, that Andrew guy, you know what? I'm thinking about getting coaching. I know he was with Trust Your Talent. I've really been, I'm hearing a lot about them and I think they'd really, really good fit. Let me just interview him and see if it's a good fit. Boom, you have the contact and you know exactly where you met him. You have some information about him and you've just created so much more value and so much of an easier,
Mm.
process for yourself just by having some of that organization. So those are some of the best tips that I've experienced while going to the events and how it can really make a big impact.
Absolutely. I love that one. I mean, Michelle Correa, she's actually a student and a friend of mine with Trust Your Talent. I believe she does that where she does a selfie and puts it in. Great system to have. I also think, if you have some sort of schedule or a follow up that you can do with the person, it depends on where you get with the conversation. So if it's very preliminary and you're not really sure where they fit into the big picture right away, then perhaps it's reviewing in 6 months just to see who you met. However, if it's a conversation that was a little more prevalent, that you were looking for a referral for them from something they brought up, maybe they know a plumber. We'll keep using the trades as you brought it up,
Of
and
course.
you put in your calendar 2 weeks from now to give them a call, shoot them a text. Like that doesn't hurt, and it's good to stay connected. The one thing I want to add though, when you said about maybe not wanting to do a selfie, now we could go to this event and everyone's doing selfies, which would be amazing. The other piece to this is if you don't want to do a selfie, well, what would be the reason you don't want to do it? Is it because it's uncomfortable? Because then at that point, I would say, good, that's a great reason to do it. With these events and networking, it can be uncomfortable until you get comfortable being uncomfortable. So something like that to break through with taking those selfies, if you're not a selfie person, what a great way to establish that. And with that purpose of staying connected, understanding who you spoke to, organizing it so that you can reach out and speak to them again. I think it's a really powerful way. CRM, even if it's someone starting out for the first time, a spreadsheet that can act as your CRM. It doesn't have to be a whole system, especially if it's a new beginner. Who did you meet? Organize them so that you can know and make notes to when you follow up.
Absolutely. Absolutely.